Hi everyone, Patrick Johnston here, managing broker, GoDominicanLife.com and Terrenaslife.com, your real estate company here in beautiful República Dominicana. I'm going to do something a little different today. This is going to be story time, and I'm going to paint a picture for you, and I want to see in your comments below if this makes any sense. So let's take a walk. All right. So I'm going to paint a picture that we find is very common, that happens with clients of ours, and we hear feedback. And this may or may not be applicable for you, but I want to think of it. I want you to think of it. There comes a time in your life, at whatever age, that one day, with really an unknown reason, you wake up and you determine in that moment that the current life you live no longer serves you. Now let me explain that, because I'm going to give you my personal story when it comes to this. One day in 2014, I was at the height of my career in North America. As I mentioned, I had about 135 employees or so. I had enough assets in my life, enough cash flow in my life. I had a beautiful house. I had everything that was happening in my life that on the outside, most people would say, well, that guy has got everything. They called it, I had the millionaire family, son, daughter, wife. Beautiful house, business, cash flow, etc. However, what was happening, or what happened to me like a slap in the head, a punch in the head, was one day I woke up and I remember I was shaving one side of my face, and then all of a sudden I put my shaver down and I went back to bed. And from that moment on, I realized that my life had changed. What you find eventually in your life is that when it no longer serves you, for whatever reason that is, it is time to make a change. Now, mine was subconsciously, my brain told me that it's time to do something different. Some people have that happen to them by a boss or a job or something like that gets removed from their life, and therefore they have to think about life again. But I did this. I went back to bed and I started to think. And I thought, and I thought, and I thought. Now, I was in a few days in bed thinking about this. And I came up with this sort of theory that I want you to think about. I call it the runway of life. And it's a simple math equation that I used to determine if I could do this or I couldn't. So it was simple as this. If you take all of your assets, let's call it your physical assets, the house you own, the cottage, your cars, write that total down. Take the value of all your personal possessions, the TVs, the computers, the couches, etc. All of that stuff. Write that number down. The third point is to add up any passive cash flow that you have. Whether it's RSPs, an annuity, an income property that you have cash flow, whatever that is, add that up. Now, of the things that you would sell, which are all your personal assets and all your possessions, what would be the actual cash value of that? Then, I'm going to tell you a figure now that if you could live your life for $1,500 American or $2,000 Canadian per month. How many $2,000 Canadian numbers would go into the assets that you have? That gives you the number of months of your runway. So let me speak to that in reality. Let's pretend your house is worth $1 million. And let's pretend you have a $250,000 mortgage on it. So you have $750,000 as cash in your pocket if you sell. Let's pretend your personal possessions or your household goods are $25,000. Well, let's call it $50,000, including a car that you would sell. So you're $800,000. So when I look at my math and say 800,000 divided by $2,000 is 400 months. That gives you a runway of, when you divide 800,000 and put 2,000 divided by that, that gives you 33 years of runway. So when I went to bed and I realized I had enough runway for 3, 5, 10 generations deep of personal cash flow and net worth, and I was 45 years old, and I disliked my current situation, that is the decision in the math that I used to change my mindset from 1.0 to 2.0. Now you may say, well, if I sell my house for 800,000, I'm gonna have to buy a house with you in the Dominican Republic. Sure, you will. However, you don't need to buy a $800,000 million house here. You can buy a $200,000 condo or a $200,000 condo with a rental apartment and then have some offsetting income to that. The point is, most of you don't realize that you are already finished. You've achieved your goals. You've achieved the personal point that at 51 years old, if I have 33 years of runway and I don't earn a single penny more, I'm gonna be 85 years old or so. And I hope I live to 95 or 100. But at the rate I was going, with 138 employees, working 6 days a week, 12 to 16 hours a day, 2 personal assistants, a full-time driver, a nanny, a cook, a driver full-time in Canada. I had to have all these things just to maintain a life, but I didn't realize I was already done. See, the North American mindset believes that you have to work yourself to death. And the Dominican mindset is, we work to live. We don't live to work. So this simple math, which I did with a good friend of mine, I won't mention her name, but you will know when I show you this video who I'm talking about. When I did this math with her, and her calculator was like 300 years of runway, I said, you're done. You're done. Don't be disappointed. Be thankful. But it's called the runway of life. That's my term on it. But you do not have to work until you're 95 years old. You do not, because you are going from an economy and a life with a value like this, which you started when it was like this, and now you have the ability to cash out in a low-cost lifestyle in a country that gives you extremely more value. 12 months of sunshine, never have winter tires ever again in your life, never have to have a winter jacket or boots or gloves or a scarf, and have all the support services that you need in your life. So for me, I have a full-time housekeeper that does my laundry, any pre-cooking things I need to do, cleans the house every single day. And these are the kind of things that, oh, and I have someone that comes to my house to give me a massage every 3 days. Because these are very inexpensive things to do, But when you have the runway to do it, and you come from this life of cost, or sorry, of value creation, to this life of new cost, your life gets much better. It's sort of like a deep thought. So when I was in that bed state, after shaving one half of my face and waking up 3 days later and saying, wait a second. So that's when I said, my life has got to change. I put my real estate brokerage up for sale, sold it within 2 days to my competitor. I moved all of my team to their team. I sold my mortgage company to the same company. All of those people still are with that same brokerage there. I took a residual payment on that over 5 years to get my life reorganized the way I wanted to see it. I had enough residual income in this country that I would live like a king, and in Canada I would live like a pauper because the cost is so high. And I chose a new life. I chose a life of life is good. This is what I chose. A simple life that you can have your dream. You don't have to have a high expense. You can have a motorcycle or a car. It doesn't matter. You can have a job or not. You can volunteer or work, but you can use your skills internationally because they're transferable. But it's important for you to use the runway of life calculation to determine if you are financially ready to say, I'm out of here, okay? Think about that deeply. It's one of these things that I had to go through. I believe most people have gone through, and now is your time to make that choice. Okay. So I'm Patrick Johnston, managing broker at Go Dominican Life and LasTerrenasLife.com here in beautiful Las Terrenas on the beach. Look, choose a new life. Go barefoot. Have fun. Be yourself. Like, subscribe, share this video with any of your friends that are on the fence and don't realize that they're already done. Get out of the treadmill of the North American lifestyle that you have to work until you're dead, work until you're dead, work until you're dead. It doesn't serve you. Okay, peace. Adios amigos from the beach. Life is good.